Hello, Juan Gee.
Hola, how you doing?
I've been dating this guy for almost a month now. We have crazy chemistry, and I think I may have even fallen in love with him. See, it doesn't take that long. It's only been a month.
It takes a moment, if you ask me.
Although we have messed around a bit,
What is that?
we have not had sex yet. So I'm assuming they've been dry humping or, they just haven't exchanged any fluids.
Oh.
Yeah. Things actually couldn't be more perfect except the fact that I just found out that he is HIV positive. I am HIV negative and have never seriously dated a guy that was positive. I've always said that I would never enter a relationship with an HIV positive man, but I am now considering it because of how I feel about him. What can I do, and how do we make sure we both have peace of mind?
We may not always agree on everything,
But we can all agree on the importance of looking out for our families and friends.
and standing together in the fight against HIV. Everyone should get tested for HIV at least once as part of routine health care.
gay and bisexual men may benefit from more frequent HIV testing and should consider getting tested every 3 to 6 months.
Knowing your status and taking whatever next steps it requires makes you and our community
Stronger! HIV testing is free. Visit gettested.cdc.gov/stronger.
Welcome back. Okay, so joining us right now is Lamont Scales, public health analyst with CDC. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome.
Being here.
All right, so the Ask Juan Gee question. A guy who's been in a relationship for a month, not in a relationship, he's been dating a guy for a month. They've messed around, quote unquote, but they haven't had sex. And he just found out that he's HIV positive.
Okay.
He found out that the guy that he's been dating is HIV positive.
Okay.
And he said that he would never enter into a relationship with the man who's HIV positive, but now he's reconsidering because he feels head over heels with this guy. But he's saying, what can he do to gain peace of mind?
So it's cute. He's in love. I guess I'm gonna say. So I think there's a conversation that needs to be had. So he might want to ask the guy, is he taking medication? Is he virally suppressed? How long has he been living with HIV?
What is virally suppressed?
So virally suppressed means there's a level below 50 copies of the HIV virus found in their blood. They might say he's undetectable.
Right. Okay.
So we take a blood test that the virus, they can't detect it. It still means that they're HIV positive, but the number of copies of the virus is undetectable.
So let me ask you this. So if I have been diagnosed with HIV and I've been going to my doctor and I'm virally suppressed. Now, if I go to another doctor and don't disclose my status and take an HIV test, will it come back negative?
So it depends on which type of test you take. If you take an antibody test, it most likely will show up that you are HIV positive.
Okay.
Yes.
So it will show up.
It will show up.
So then, what's the difference between virally suppressed and, from what I've heard, you're less likely to pass it on to your sexual partner?
Great. So there have been a number of studies where we're looking at individuals who are living with HIV, but they have an undetectable virus. And what they found is that it's very hard to transmit the HIV virus if you're undetectable. It is possible because when you take those blood tests, it doesn't look at semen. So you can't detect the virus in semen. Two, a person might go to their doctor like in January and they're undetectable. But in February, they might have a blip. So they might have a detectable viral load. So when they go back in maybe June to get their test, they might be undetectable. But if you had sex with the person in February while they have a detectable viral load, it puts you at risk.
So it goes up and down.
So it goes up and down, but usually it's consistent. But you definitely want to make sure that you ask those questions because there are multiple ways that you can prevent from getting HIV.
Okay. So, what advice would you give this guy going into this new relationship with somebody he's head over heels in love with, but he has a strong fear of being in a long-term relationship with somebody who's HIV positive?
So he needs to sit down, have open communication with the guy. Find out if he's healthy, if he's undetectable, and the two of them need to come to an agreement on how they can keep the one guy negative. Does that mean they're going to start using condoms? Does that mean they're going to be on PrEP, which is Truvada, which is a medication that will prevent you from getting HIV? Are they just not going to have anal sex? Or, you know, they need to have those conversations. What is it going to look like to make sure that he's negative and to make sure the guy who's positive is healthy?
Well, I just have to interject. I think that's great, and I think it's necessary, and I think that's something you should do. But first, I think you need to ask yourself and answer it honestly. Is this something I am ready to embark upon? Am I ready to start this journey and do some research? Talk to people who may be in these situations. Go online, because I think without answering that question honestly, you're just setting yourself and the relationship up.
You know, I would also add, there are 1.2 million people in the United States living with HIV. A little over 63% are gay men. So if you're dating other gay men, the likelihood that your next guy you're dating is living with HIV is pretty high. And if you're in Atlanta, it's even higher. So you found a guy that you are in love with, and if your thing is that you're not going to date someone who's HIV positive, who's to say the next guy that you fall in love with is not also living with HIV? So it's just a reality as a gay man that we have to come and start talking about it more often, to be open, and to figure out ways that we can support people who are living with HIV, but also support individuals who are negative to say, hey, these are the tools that you need to stay negative.
So let's talk a little bit more about PrEP. And you know, PrEP has been fairly new now, and I've seen recent data coming back saying that it's 100% effective and all of these good things. Tell us about PrEP. You know, how often do you take it? Do you take it for the rest of your life? You know, just give us more information about it.
So I always say, I joke kiddingly and say, PrEP is the gay man's birth control. Right? And so for birth control, you don't take it for the rest of your life. It depends on what type of relationship you're in, whether you're single, if you're married. So PrEP is a HIV medication. Typically it's Truvada. It's a blue pill that you can take. If you're negative, you have to make sure that you're negative. So you have to have a good relationship with your doctor. You make sure you're negative, and you can take PrEP every day consistently. Like you take a vitamin. One pill. The side effects are very low.
Weight gain, I heard, is a side effect.
Don't do that.
Well, I mean, you gotta know what the side effects. No, I didn't hear that.
I would say read what the side effects are. Most people don't experience side effects. And they're it's very tolerable. So it's a pill that you can take. You said how long do you need to take it? If you're single, you're sexually active, and you do not consistently use condoms, PrEP is a good option for you.
Let me ask this question as it directly relates. You said something before we started talking about PrEP about keeping negative people negative. Now that's a conversation that I've rarely heard in the HIV advocacy world. It's all about
treatment as prevention.
So what are some of the stigmas or some of the cases you've come across where negative people may come across your desk wanting to know how to prevent, but then they're shamed for even wanting to talk about it?
Because there's this conversation, this stigma. If I am talking about ways to keep myself negative, or if I go to a community-based organization or I ask my doctor to get an HIV test, that I'm sort of promiscuous, I'm having all this rampant sex, and no, you just really want to have an honest conversation about ways to keep yourself HIV negative. So if a guy gets on PrEP, he's looked at as being
a hoe. He like that raw dog. He like that raw sex, when obviously the statistics are showing that a lot of us are having raw sex.
So if I wouldn't consider that person a hoe or anything like that, I would say this guy is smart and he's thinking about ways to keep himself negative. He's being proactive.
And he knows himself as well. If he knows that he is putting himself in positions that he is not always protected, then why not add an extra layer? If you know sometimes you get fucked up up after the club and your mind ain't
Let's
always
call a
there.
thing a thing.
I'ma just took the head in for a little while. Then when you know 15 minutes later, y'all done busted in each other.
Yeah.
And that's just real talk. I think that it's important to call a thing, like Juan said earlier. If you know you putting yourself in this position, then why not protect yourself? It's not gonna make you any more different than you already are, except smarter.
Yeah, and I also say people are always concerned about STDs. So guys who are taking PrEP, who are taking Truvada, they have to get an STD test if they're going to get a refill.
Right.
So the guys who are, there's always a concern. But if you are consistently taking PrEP, you have to go to your doctor every 3 months, and
so
you
it's
have to get an
beneficial.
HIV test. And they recommend that you also get an STD test as well.
Well, let's talk about how much it costs, because I know people talk about how expensive it is, and there are resources out there that can help people that might not be able to afford it but want it. So talk a little bit.
So, and that is the biggest challenge, particularly when you talk about people of low income, particularly guys that look like you and I. Like it's
the ones that are most affected.
And the guys who are most affected are people of color and people of low income. So if you have health insurance, it's more feasible. You would pay your normal copay, which you would pay with any medication. The issue though is that the lab fees are may be a barrier, because you're going to the doctors every 3 months for that HIV test and that STD test, which you may have to pay.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so if you don't have health insurance, there are patient assistance programs that will cover the cost of the drug if you don't have health insurance.
Does the prescribing doctor have to give you the HIV test?
That's what I was going to ask.
No.
You can get that for free.
So there are some doctors, for whatever reason, who are not comfortable doing HIV tests. You can go to a community-based organization.
Okay, and they partner.
Get the test. Make sure you bring the result to them.
Okay.
So are you able to share any organizations that may be able to offer PrEP assistance?
So I know Fulton County Health Department, DeKalb County Health Department, they are actively working to put information out in the community and then make sure that Black gay men, African American women, transgender individuals, and others who are at high risk for HIV are getting the information. I think it's step one. We're not having the conversation about PrEP at all. And when we do have the conversation, it's perceived negatively.
Why do we have to put so much shame around all of this stuff?
I think it's just ingrained.
We are just so we inflict pain on ourselves, unnecessary pain. Like here's this, perceivably this wonderful thing that can help advance our community and keep us stronger, but then there's this whole negative stigma around it. To wrap this up, to make sure this guy is getting the answer he needed, for me, I think that you open communication, and I think like Juan said, be honest with yourself and think, and is this something that you can embark upon, because you don't want to have to put any extra baggage on this guy and what his health status is and those different things. So be mindful of the situation and just have open communication about it.
Yeah, your desires, your wants, that will never lead you astray. So whatever you're feeling in your heart, that's what I say go. Only you can give yourself peace of mind. No conversation, in my opinion, will give you peace of mind until you achieve that level of peace of mind yourself.
Yeah, and I obviously think that you want to pursue this guy, but you're just trying to get over that. And I would say do not run away from it. I would say do not run away.
That's my number one piece of advice I give myself every day. Whenever you feel like running away, walk towards it, because you have to start doing something different in order to see different things happen in your life. And G always says this to me: why was this situation called into your life? And I think ask yourself that question. This man is in your life for a reason. What is it to learn from this situation?
I guess my last thought would say just educate yourself more on ways to keep yourself negative, and that will ease some of your anxiety and make it a lot better.
Yeah, go and throw a website out there.
You can just go to cdc.gov/HIV.
All right.
You all.